If you are bored and have nothing to do, it's time for a story between me and you. Sit down or lie down or pull up a chair. Inside my head is the story I'll share. Hello, I'm going to tell you a story today about Ricky the Dragon and his good friend Agatha. And they're going to visit the CN Tower, which is in Toronto. Now, I wanted to show you on my globe here. Now the globe moves like this. And there's all different countries and places on here, but I marked out in yellow. I don't know if you can see that. I'll point to it with my pen right there. That is Toronto. Yeah. And Toronto, as you know, is in Canada. And you can just see the word Canada. Well, you'll have to have a good look. And right below Canada is the United States of America. So, Ricky the Dragon and his mom were going to Agatha's house to pick her up. And they had planned ahead of time to go to the CN Tower. And Agatha had her other daughter who was going to visit the CN Tower with them. Her name was Rebecca. So Ricky's mum, her name was Isabel, flew across the ocean as Ricky and his mum lived on the side of a cliff in a cave. And when they got to Agatha's house, they knocked on the door. Agatha opened the door. "Welcome," she said. "Oh my gosh, Isabel, how lovely to meet you." Isabel, his mummy dragon, said, "I've heard a lot about you too, Agatha. I'm so happy to meet you. This is my other daughter, Rebecca." Rebecca was 26 years old, so she was an adult. So they decided it was time to go. They got on the back of Ricky, and Ricky's mom, Isabel, flew by herself, and they flew all the way to Toronto down to the CN Tower. Now, some of you will know what the CN Tower is because some of you may have visited it. But here's a picture of what the CN Tower looks like. You can see it's very long, looks like a needle, and it's in the middle of the city. You see all of the skyscrapers? And there's Lake Ontario. It's got boats on the lake. So once they got to the CN Tower, Agatha and Rebecca took the elevator up. It was a glass elevator, and it went very, very fast, zoom, all the way up to the top. And as they were going up to the top in the elevator, Ricky the Dragon and his mum flew up exactly the same with them. So they went up this, like, all the way up to the top. When they got to the top, they were going on a special excursion. That means a special adventure. And this one was called the Edge Walk. So right at the top of the tower, there is an area where you can actually go outside. It's very high up. I'm a little bit worried. Now I've heard that what happens is when you get to the Edge Walk, they ask you to put on like a red, it's like a red outfit. It looks like an overall. I'm wearing red today just because I love red. And Agatha and Rebecca put on the red outfits, but not Ricky the Dragon or his mum Isabel. Of course, they were way too big. They were flying outside waiting. They also, Agatha and Rebecca, had to put on a harness, which was something that held them in. And there was a big cable, and they went outside at the top of the tower. Imagine that they're right at the top of the tower, how high up it is. And they were able to lean back like this with their arms out. And they looked down over the city. They could see everything. They could see birds flying, and Ricky the Dragon and his mum were flying right next to them. "Oh my gosh," said Agatha, "I'm rather afraid." "Don't be frightened, Mom," said Rebecca. It's nothing. Look at me. I'm having a great time up here. I'm not at all afraid. We're not going to fall. The cables are so strong. We will be just fine. And they were just fine. It's very, very safe up there. Now, one thing about the CN Tower, when it was actually built, they started building it in 1974. That's quite a long time ago. We're now in 2020. It took them 2 years to build it, and the engineers spent 24 hours a day, meaning they worked night and day trying to build the tower. Now, when they were building the tower, they were using giant cranes, and they also used a big, gigantic, which is a huge helicopter. The helicopter's name was Olga. And that helicopter helped to put the top of the CN Tower on, which is like the needle right at the top. It's called the antenna. The antenna is used to help you so that you can watch TV. You can also use a telephone or your cell phones. And it was also used for all sorts of things like radio, like broadcasting. Sometimes you can hear things on a radio where people are talking, but you can't see them. Whereas when you hear people talking on a television, you can see them with your eyes, right? So the CN Tower had all sorts of things that were really amazing. Now, they opened up the CN Tower in 1976. It was a big celebration. And one of the things that they were doing was they decided to have what they call a time capsule. A time capsule is something that you put memorabilia in, things of history, things of importance. And the idea was that they would put things inside it, and then they would put that time capsule in the walls of the CN Tower. And it would be hidden there for many, many years. And then one day, many years later, they would open up the time capsule, take everything out and see what's in it. In the CN Tower, in the time capsule, they had some very special things. One of the things that they had was a letter from the Prime Minister. His name was Pierre Trudeau. Now you might think, wait a minute, I know the new Prime Minister, and his name is Justin Trudeau. And you would be right if you were thinking maybe Justin Trudeau was Pierre Trudeau's son. That's a part of history. His father was the Prime Minister, and many, many years later, Justin Trudeau was the Prime Minister. Now, there was also letters from the premiers. Premiers are the people in the government who are in charge of different provinces. You know what different provinces are. Not just Ontario, but there's Quebec, there's Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, just to name a few. You have a look on your global map at home and see if you can find some of the provinces. They put letters in too. So did the school children. They put letters in the time capsule. Just imagine if you were one of those school kids putting a letter in the time capsule. What else did they put in? They put in money, Canadian dollars. They didn't put in foreign money, just Canadian money and Canadian coins. They put in the major 3 newspapers, the Globe and Mail, the Toronto Star, and the Toronto Sun. Newspapers, you'll know what a newspaper is because you can see newspapers in your house. And it's when people write news. They write about news. Reporters write about news and then they document it. And those are on paper. We document things now on our computers. Or sometimes we'll use a pen and we'll write it down, or we'll use a pencil. I know some of you guys like to write down your name and print. So the newspapers were in there. What else did they put in there? Let me think. I know what they did. They put a video in there called To the Top. I'm looking down at my paper because I can't remember. To the Top, and it's about a video about the construction, meaning how they built the CN Tower. How exciting is that? Now, the plan was that in 2076, they're going to open up that time capsule. Well, some of us might get to see that. Some of us won't. We're in 2020 now, so that's quite a few years. I want you to count those years with your mums or your dads or your grandparents or anybody else at home and find out how many years from 2020 to 2076. That's a long way off when they open up the time capsule. The time capsule was hidden in the walls of the CN Tower. And I wonder where it was hidden. I know there's a restaurant up there. I don't think they would have hidden it there. I don't think they would have hidden it by the antenna at the top. So maybe you can find out, Google that and find out, where did they hide the time capsule? Now, I think that was a wonderful idea. While Agatha and Rebecca were outside, hanging off the side of the tower, Ricky the dragon and his mum were flying around and around the tower and waving at them. They were very proud of them. They were a little bit worried, but they were absolutely safe. And after their expedition, or their excursion, or their adventure, they decided that they would fly back to Agatha's house and have some refreshments. So they had a nice cup of tea, and they chatted about their day before they went back to the cave and the cliff where Isabel, Ricky's mum, and Ricky lived. So it's interesting. So it was mum and son and mother and daughter. Now, one of the things that they saw before they were flying back, when they turned around, it was nighttime when they were flying back, they looked at the tower, and it was close to Mother's Day. And on the tower, I'm going to show you this, for Mother's Day, they had special lights. Can you see that? It's rainbow lights. The CN Tower is celebrating Mother's Day. I think that's amazing. I know they also celebrate lots of other days, special days at the CN Tower where they'll light it up. So it has lots of different functions. And one day, you guys will go down to the CN Tower. I promise you that. And you will have a chance to see the CN Tower. Now, I know that you have to be a little bit older. I think you have to be 13 and up. You have to be a certain size before you can go on the walk at the top. But put that on your bucket list so that you try that. Now, I thought before I go that I would show you what I would do if I had a time capsule. I have a container here I can show you. It's like a little chest. It's quite shiny, isn't it? And if I open it up, I'll open up the lid. I'm going to show you what I'm going to put in my time capsule. So one of the things that's very important to me is my family. This is my family when I was much younger, and my husband, Matthew, and my kids. They are Rebecca and Nicholas. And so I'm going to put a picture of them in my time capsule. I also found a picture of my mummy, and my mummy is holding my first baby in her arms. And I'm going to put a picture of my mum in there. I thought I would also put some money in here. I found a $20 bill, Canadian money. There's the Queen on there. You see the Queen of England? So she's going in my time capsule. I also found £20. There's the Queen again on £20. That's British sterling. That's British English money. The Queen looks younger there, doesn't she? Sort of like my photograph where I was younger when I had my children when they were younger. I'm going to put that £20 into my time capsule. I also found this amazing picture. See here, some of you kids will know some of these characters. I know for sure you know Mario. Oh, is Luigi in there? He's not in there. So these are characters. I'm very proud of my son Nicholas. He made these out of clay. What does it say on there? Paper Mario. I bet you guys know some of these other characters. Maybe when I see you again, you can tell me who they are. Some of them I know, but some of them I can't remember. So I'm going to I think I'm going to fold, no, I'm not going to fold it. I'm going to go like this. Pop that into my time capsule. I'm going to put this color crayon in here because that's one of my son's favorite colors, orange. And I know he loves that. And then I was on holiday recently in Portugal, and I went to visit this lovely beach called Nazaré. You see it? Nazaré. And it brings back lots of happy memories of visiting on holiday. I'm going to close that up, and then I'm going to wrap it up, and I might dig a hole in the garden and put it in there as my time capsule. So until next time, my friends, that's the end of my story, and I'll see you again. And I'll come back and tell you another story out of my head. Bye-bye and have a great day.